In this episode of Man vs. Marriage, we are going to talk about perishable skills. What the heck does that mean, Quincy? Well, that's a good question. That's where we're going to do the show. And we will be right back after this. Welcome back to another episode of Man vs. Marriage. It is I, your humble servant, Quincy W. Moran, a.k.a. the Q Dog, a.k.a. Let me bring her on and see if she'll do it.
No.
What's your problem, dude? The Q Diggity Dog. You could say that.
I could. I'm very capable.
Well, since
That's
you
not
didn't,
what I call you, though.
that means you are a loser. Welcome to the program, loser.
Takes one to know one.
Hey, that's why I know you so
Marry
well.
one and make 8 more.
Now we're 10 losers. Okay. Well, you see her, you hear her, you know her, Man versus Marriage faithful. But for those who do not, I'm joined in the Moran family studio with my lovely wife. Her name is Jeannie Moran. Jeannie, why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do?
You just did. I'm your wife. I make all the peoples. And I deal with all the home stuff. And I'm an author.
I didn't say all those things.
You said I was your lovely wife. That kind of tells them who I am, does it not?
No.
Okay.
Gives them one aspect of who you are. So,
Did you just call me an ass?
yes, you are one aspect of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And a very important one.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you for it. Well, before we get started, let's make sure that you know that you yourself, yes, you the listener, well, at least you the watcher, can see what's on the bottom of the screen. It is the email address, quincy@mvsmpodcast.com. And for those of you who are listening only, come check out the YouTube. Look, your boy Q, he missed the boat on YouTube. I used to put audio videos up there. But since I was such a big, podcast guy, I did not invest the time into doing video for the podcast. So for the first 6 3/4 years, it was audio only. We did a couple videos, but now I want to grow the YouTube platform because it is, I won't say an entirely different group of people, but it's a large group of people as well that I want to reach about marriage. And there are some people that just aren't interested in listening to an audio podcast, like my wife. She wants to see a video. And so right now we are putting videos out. So I'm just asking you, the listener, to help us grow this particular platform. Share the show with every single person in the world, whether you know them or not. Force it upon them. Thrust it upon them. Isn't that something from Friday? You thrust yourself upon me. I don't know what it was, but yeah, do that, please. And then be sure to check out quincymoran.com. And I'm going to do my best to share this screen because I'm just not great at it right now, but we're going to see if this works out. So there we go. If you are watching, the program, this is what you see when you go to quincymoran.com and you go to apparel. So we have Man vs. Marriage, we have Family Famous, we have the Quincy Moran line, the BS podcast line, and then Moran Brothers. What I want to direct your attention to is this online store where I have gone and I have revamped every single design. So we have his, we have hers, we have all the gear. We have the Legacy brand, and then this Fit line 202. That 202 is one of my favorite, numbers in the whole world. Shout out to my buddy Richard, who's another guy that loves 202. But look, just take a peek here real quick. And as we look at it, it's about being a better husband. It's about being a better man, a better husband, being a better father, being a better professional, be a better human being. And that's what we're challenging ourselves to do. So right here, We have, much like the shirt that I'm wearing today, we have now is the time to change your life. We have excellence over perfection, which is the standard. And then we have a few different versions of it. Got a couple of sweatshirts up there. And then we've got the legacy man versus marriage shirt. And so I'm asking you to order one, to put it on, go check it out. Walk out to the gym, wherever you're going, wear this shirt out there, and it's going to turn some heads. I know, because it happens to me all the time that people ask me about the shirt, about the podcast, and it gives me an opportunity to tell men and women out there about what we do and why Jeannie and I do this passion project that we are transforming into a platform to minister to marriages around the world. And that gives you the opportunity to walk out and for people to read, go check out the podcast, but also maybe they're going to come and ask you. And so you have to be bold. You have to be bold. You have to be willing. And Jeannie and I put ourselves out there to help you. And I'm asking you to have the cojones enough to do it as well. And that's how we can grow the platform with positive guerrilla warfare. Not negative, but positive, metaphorical guerrilla warfare, where you go out and you share your testimony about how what we share, our journey, has affected yours. So without further ado, let's talk. What was that look? One more thing to note about the video is I have changed the format slightly to where the pictures fill up the entire page. And so it's going to be a new look, but I think it's better because otherwise we're just off in the distance. And so I'll see how I like this. And
I don't know. I don't see it, so it's all good for me.
Yeah, I know you don't watch our show,
Which facing you,
which you said you like to watch YouTube videos.
I don't watch our show. I don't listen to our show. Once our show is done, when we discuss it, that's about as far as it goes for me. I just did the show. I don't want to go watch it.
Well, you would be surprised at what you yourself can learn from us, because I learned from us as well. It's like when I used to be an associate pastor and I would preach. I don't always remember, not that what comes out of my mouth isn't true, but I don't always remember what comes out of my mouth because I'm highly in the moment saying what I believe, but then there are aha moments that happen and you expand on them, but you don't necessarily take the time to listen to them. So I have learned from us listening to the program on many occasions, and I encourage you to do the same. And it kind of goes along with today's show. And so I told you I wanted to talk to you about perishable skills. Okay. What is a perishable skill? What is a perishable anything? Something that sort of decays over time until it has perished. And in the sense that it's a perishable skill, I was having a conversation with one of our listeners one day, and we were talking about listening. We were talking about our relationship, talking about what he and his wife were going through. And I had an aha moment during the conversation, and that's why I'm bringing it to the show. And that is, if you do not practice these things, they are perishable. And I submitted to him, I said, hey, these skills are perishable. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And so what Jeannie and I are going to talk about today has to do with that precisely. We don't want to leave you with, hey, this is perishable, so if you don't do it, you're going to get back into a cycle and things are going to suck. We also want to tell you how to get out of that, how to reboot, how to start again. And that's what this episode is about. This podcast is about, which is a journey of our relationship, and how you can work through that. So your thoughts as we go into this particular episode, honey?
I'm just waiting for you to ask the questions. I don't really have a whole lot of thought.
Winning today is the Moran team. Okay, so here is a simplified version of perishable skills. If you don't use it, you lose it. So it goes with, like, if you're looking for examples of what that might be, Maybe you are a runner. I don't know why you'd be a runner. I don't enjoy running, but your lung capacity over time, as you work on it, it builds, it gets better, you get stronger, and you can run farther and farther and farther. Well, conversely, what happens if you stop running?
You got to restart.
Yeah, your ability to run and to hit your second wind, your endurance, all those things, they begin to decline. They start to roll back. And so if it's not something that you are consistently working with, then you will lose that. Now, what happens when you stop going to the gym and strength training?
Ooh, you turn to cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese.
According to PJ, you turn to cottage cheese. Yeah, you lose a lot of your strength. You have to rebuild the muscle. Probably gain some of that weight back.
Yeah, your muscle fiber starts to shrink. It doesn't mean it loses its memory, but it starts to shrink. And your endurance in that case, your form suffers. And then your body composition begins to change. And so it starts to regress. Well,
Cottage cheese.
that's right. That's the same in this particular situation. And Jeannie and I, like, you could, if you went back to episode 1 and downloaded everything and started listening, you would hear us we have these great tools that we teach you about, and we use them because they worked. And then we let life get in the way. And what happens then? We turn to cottage cheese. We allow life to start living us, and then we are no longer utilizing this skill set or utilizing it effectively. And so what happens is we forget about those tools, and then we start to regress in our ability to communicate. And what happens there is the next time you're there, it's like, well, hey, let's go for a 2-mile run. It's like, well, you haven't ran in 2 months. So when the idea is great, but when you start running, you're quickly going to find out that you've lost your wind, that you've regressed in your ability, to push through. Your endurance is no longer there. And so things are going to get difficult quickly. And let me tell you, that's what happens to your relationship. Because Jeannie and I would talk about things. We would get in a dust up. There would be a problem. We would have an argument, a misunderstanding. There would be challenges between us. And then we would finally get to the point where we talked about it. We would debrief and we would say, well, crap, we forgot. We know these tools, but we are not intentionally using these tools. And so that's where you find yourself. Are you stuck in a cycle? Do you continue to go through the same? It's good for a while, and then things get difficult. Then you end up in an argument because of a misunderstanding, because your expectations weren't met. You're fighting. You're not having sex. The next thing you know, there's distance between you guys. You start intentionally punishing your spouse with your behaviors or your lack thereof. Now you're not saying hello and goodbye when you come home or when you leave. You're not giving a kiss hello. You're not giving a kiss goodbye. You get all in your feels. You get emotional. You're now being illogical. And then you find yourself with a bunch of resentment, and your relationship has gaps. And so you have to start the process all over again. Okay, well, we're going to try again this time. And, you're both human beings. There's going to be mistakes. It's not going to be perfect. That's obvious.
Sorry, autism is acting up in the background.
It is.
I'm paying attention, but I'm also listening to make sure there's no need for a jump in. That's all.
Yeah. Well, all I need is about 15 or 20 minutes of your undivided attention.
I'm trying, but they're dividing it. He's having a little fit out there, but it's okay.
Okay. Well, I've got these headphones on, so I can't necessarily hear it.
No, he's shouting a little bit, but he's okay at the moment. That's what I was listening for. We've just to kind of interject, we've had a little backtrack with Hunter in his episodes, and he's getting to where he's not physical but verbally aggressive, and we're kind of bordered on if he's going to go that way or not. So I'm not intentionally not listening to you. I'm just making sure everybody's safe. That's all.
So what you're saying is you're not actively tuning me out?
No.
Okay. Well, that's good news.
I just want to make sure everybody's safe. I know they had a couple of rough days.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is life
Happening to us while we're trying to remember the skills.
happening for us.
Oh, we'll agree to disagree on that one for this one.
Okay. It's all right when you're wrong. I don't mind. So let's keep talking about this. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. We'll wrap the show up, and then we'll go check on autism, and then we can go on about our day. How about that? So when it comes to these perishable skills, what are we talking about? I kind of put Jeannie on the spot a few minutes ago when I said, hey, what are some perishable skills? And then the silence comes in because you're like, okay, well, what could these things be? And then you say the first thing that comes to mind, and that is such a broad term. So talk about what your idea was of a perishable skill, and then we'll kind of talk through some of the parameters of that. If they're like when something strikes a chord in you, the listener, please, if you're not driving, notate the time, go back and listen, send me an email, Quincy@mvsmpodcast.com, and let me know what your thoughts are, or if you have more to add, or if you want some insight on something. But honey, take it away.
The first thing that came to mind was communication. And I guess the example I would use would be just basic communication. When we first started out, we talked all the time about everything. It was just, we were in that place. We didn't have kids. We didn't have extra stuff going on. Everything that we did, it was us doing things together. So we were always talking about what we had going on. After fast forward 3 years, we have 4 kids, not a whole lot of sleep. And the communication is kind of what's necessary. Your day at work, what bills need to be handled, what happened at home, medical stuff, those types of things. And we kind of forgot how to talk about the other things, like what we wanted to do, places we wanted to go. Once in a great while, it would come up and we would talk about like buying a house or, looking for those types of things. But again, it came back to like logistics. What could we afford? What do we need? Those types of things rather than just conversation. And for me, that's part of my quality time is having quality conversation. I like to, imagine things, talk about things. We like to go in depth on, like right now, the time of life we're in, it's about the kids and what's going on and the changes that are happening and where we are in that. So for us, I would say the most recent example would be the one thing that we dropped the ball on was the check-in for a while. And that for us is highly important because one, the work week kind of keeps us apart for a few days. We talk, but it's difficult to have those heart to hearts when you're on the phone. It's bedtime. We're both exhausted from the day. So we've adapted the check-in back in. And one night a week we get together and we go back and forth. Right now it's still in kind of what do you call it? It's in a patterned mode. We ask back and forth questions and we answer them specifically. And the conversation will usually veer off in different directions, but we kind of stick to a script in the beginning. As we've gone forward, we've adapted the script and added other things. For example, Quincy the son, Jeannie the daughter, because we're in a phase of life where our parents are older and things are declining for them. So we have to kind of discuss where we're at emotionally in that. Where are we in our availability to help? Things of that nature, because that's where we're at in life. I think that was one of the biggest things. The other one was we had recently adapted. I'm going to be first. I'm going to say something first. I'm going to do something first so that we don't allow a heated conversation or an unresolved conversation. For example, we might disagree on something, but instead of continuing to argue it out, we agree to maybe sit on it for a little while and we'll come back and discuss it again because we're clearly not on the same page with this, but we don't want it to become a wedge between us because we can't come to an agreement.
Yeah. Or it's like there is a behavior, intentional or unintentional. There's a behavior and it hurts or it burns you. Like you get heartburn over it. And so rather than sit on it like you normally do, let it fester, let it become an argument.
See if they figure it out and they decide to come back and apologize or change it.
Right. Now it's like, I'm going to be first. And so I believe that has been game changer inside of the sphere of the check-in.
Yeah.
Because we committed to go first, because you can have a conversation today about your resentments and your frustrations and your hurt feelings. And then what happens is later that evening, something familiar happens and you're like, well, here we freaking go again. It's like, how is this how is it happening now this fast? It's the same day. And so for Jeannie and I think we'd gone like 11 days with no intimacy. And I was upset and frustrated. And I can't remember what you were.
I was standoffish because I didn't know what you were upset about.
Yeah.
And we weren't communicating about it. So I wasn't initiating because I didn't know what the problem was and you weren't discussing it with me. So it was kind of like, who's supposed to make the move here if we're not on the same page?
Right. And so we had gotten together in one of these conversations in a check-in, like the first one of the 13 in a row that we've done now. And that night, like we had talked again about, all right, let's get it on, dude. Let's have some sex. Let's get this other crap out of the way. And so something familiar happened. And I'm laying there going, wait a minute, did we talk a good game and now there's no action behind this? And then my own words come back to me and it's like, yeah, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, it feels like you shouldn't have to say anything, but you committed to just go first. So do it anyway. And so I'm like, hey, so are we going to do this or what? And Jeannie, I can't remember exactly what she said.
You said, so is there sex in our future or are we just going to like let this go? Like, what are we doing?
Okay. Yeah. Well, that sounds exactly like what I said or something very close to it.
Yeah.
And so she was like, yeah. And at first it's like, what level of oblivion are we dealing with here? And then I go, no, that is an up to the moment opportunity right there for me to just not change this cycle. And I was like, I've got to say something. And so it was like, yeah. And so we did our thing. And it was like, what greater reward for doing your thing than doing your thing? And it's like, come on, dude. In times past, what would I probably have done? I would have laid there and resented you because the whole deal was you were supposed to initiate because I stepped back from initiating because you were at a deadline for a book. I will never do that again. I will not, because I want to be intentional about my love life, and my sex life. And what I thought I was doing, was helpful. It wasn't. And when I figured out it wasn't helpful, I didn't say anything. It progressively got more and more frustrated. And so life provided us an opportunity to do something different. And then I think on week 3, we had a pretty heated argument in one of these check-ins. It got off the rails, but we need to talk about it. And so we had to park something. And I, in my mind, was like, crap, here we go again. And I'm the guy that doesn't like to do the here we go again deal. But I'm sitting there going, have we screwed this thing up? Are we back? Are we doing the same thing? I was afraid, that we were kind of messing up what we had built for 2 weeks. And so I just had to say something. It's like, dude, you said be first, even if it's uncomfortable. So I was like, hey, I'm concerned. I don't think this is the case, but I just have this gross feeling that we're going to start this argument cycle again. Come to find out, Jeannie was concerned about it too. So we addressed it and we're better for it.
Well, and the part that we probably should explain is we put a pin in the conversation, but we also decided that because we couldn't agree or understand each other's side of what was going on, we involved a third neutral party into the conversation and explained what was going on. And then now we've kind of we put out a rule in the middle that said until we get this figured out, what it amounts to is there is another person that is very close with Quincy, and that the closeness bothers me. And I don't think the person would cross the line, but it's just an uncomfortable feeling for me. And so we had to have a conversation about it. And the conversation got a little bit heated. And at the end of, putting a pin in it, we decided, okay, well, there's someone in Quincy's life that he trusts wholeheartedly, that he speaks to on a regular basis.
Yeah, let's get some neutral counsel.
That we both trust would be a neutral party, not going to pick either side, not going to say right or wrong. And so I asked him, I said, we'll talk to this person and see what they have to say about it. And then we'll come back and we'll discuss it again. But in the meantime, we put up a little bit of when you're talking to this other person, this is what I need to have happen until we can kind of come to a common ground.
Sure.
To make me feel a little less uncomfortable with the situation. And so that's what we did. And then the third party contacted us and said, okay, this is how I would feel about it. This is how we've dealt with it in our marriage. And it just kind of helped us reaffirm we're doing the right thing. The boundaries that we set are what we should be doing. And for now, until we can determine whether or not this is really an issue, this is how we need to approach it, for the simple fact that we just don't want anything coming between us.
Yeah.
But that I say that just to prove the fact that we do have conversations where we need somebody else to come in as a neutral party sometimes too, because we still in 26 years don't see everything eye to eye. But had we not had the heated conversation, had we not, opened up to each other in that check-in, we would still be dealing with that because that person is still around, that friendship is still there. So it could have come back to bite us at a different date, and it would have been another heated argument.
Yeah. And I myself am not beyond accountability, and it's important that you have people that can help you, with accountability in life. And so it was helpful. Now look, myself, the third party, and Jeannie, I just was at the point where it's like, I don't see this the same way, but out of respect for my wife, it's a no-brainer for me. And so this is the way that I'll operate. Because with this friendship, there's never been anything to ever cross the line. If there was anything,
yeah,
whack, it'd be done, over, finished. But I can say with integrity, there's nothing has ever happened. But it is important to have a platform to discuss these things openly. And I don't know how long it had been frustrating Jeannie. And so I told her, I was like, look, it takes a lot of courage for you to say this, because, I'm sure you had to be nervous about it or whatever. So I can appreciate that. And I want to be very sensitive to that situation. And so having the check-in And what we had built, the what we had built the 2 or 3 weeks prior to that, it really helped open us up to be willing to have those deeper conversations.
Well, it opened up a lot of things because for us, we hadn't used the check-in in quite a while. We went from regular date nights and regular check-ins to senior year of high school and just back-to-back things, changes in his job, changes in travel, and then everything went to a halt when you had surgery. And so we still had all of the, the kid things going on, the jobs, the high school stuff. Both of us are dealing with the surgery, the recovery, and even though we had the conversation and we prepared. After surgery, we know that there's going to be this gap in intimacy and dating and going out and these different things. We had prepared for all of that, but we still weren't regularly checking in. And what ended up happening is we went to default and we were working in survival mode. We went day to day. We still had conversation, we still had things going on, but because we weren't making it intentional to actually ask the questions and have the heartfelt, where are you? Locating each other, seeing where we are emotionally, mentally, all of those things, we let it kind of overlap. And by the time we got to it, it took an argument for us to actually get there. And then it was okay. What did we mess up? What did we forget? What are we not doing? Why did this even creep up when this is something that we haven't dealt with in a really long time? So that's kind of where this show comes from, is the fact that we've done it. We have forgotten the skills, we have forgotten the tools, we have put it to the side, we have let other things become more important in the moment and just let it slide. I mean, we almost did it a couple weeks ago. We had a lot of things going on. I did it. We had a lot of things going on. And
Thank you for correcting the record.
My thought was, because normally our check-ins are on Friday evenings. I was going to be gone all day Friday. I was going down to see our daughter at college, taking a couple of the kids down to go visit with her, kind of doing a check-in on her. Stay down there all day Saturday. We were coming back. It was going to be late Saturday night. So I was like, well, let's do it on Sunday. And Quincy stopped me and said, no, Sunday starts the next week. It will be more than 7 days. We're not doing that. We need to do it Saturday. So we were both dog ass tired on Saturday when I got home, and we still stayed up and got it done. And we didn't skip anything. We didn't shorten it. We went through the whole process. And by the time we both went to bed on Saturday, we woke up Sunday and it was like, okay, now we know where we sit. We know where we're going for the week. And it was just a lot easier because there's like right now, I think it's more important for us because of where we're at and what all is going on around us that we check in. Everybody needs it. I think it's a great tool to have, but life has a tendency of just knocking you over and just wave after wave of thing after thing. And at some point you have to kind of shut it up and deal with it.
Well, let me give you some perspective on that. Life has a way of just doing life because that's what life is. Now, there was an episode called Pour Out the Cup that Coach Rita and I did long time ago where she taught me this lesson, which is you have a cup. It could be a quarter or a half empty, half full. Who knows? Now, as people start coming into your life or life starts happening, there's drips, there's pours, there are things constantly being put in the cup. If you don't actively manage your cup, and in our case, it would have been actively checking in and not a generalized check. Well, how are you? Oh, good. How are you? Oh, okay, I'm good. And then that neither one of us saw any value in it. Saw value in the concept, but we were not getting anything out of it. And that's why it went away, because it doesn't have value. There's no benefit to it. And so what happens if you don't manage your cup? Take a drink every once in a while. Make sure you stay hydrated. Whatever goofy analogy I can give you. before long, one drip goes in the cup when you have too much, and now the cup overflows. And so one drip feels like that's too much for me. It's too big. It's just I can't handle it. Where if you continuously hydrate yourself and take the drinks necessary of the cup, or even pour the cup out, which means get in front of your spouse and talk about the issues of life that are within you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the cup, you could have good things, exciting things, happy things, and then it could be mixed in. It could be mixed in with things that are more difficult
Work,
to deal
stress.
with. And so the higher you get in the cup, the less capacity you have. So something small can seem like it's catastrophic when it's actually not. So going through the process of checking in with intention, what that does is it allows you to pour out your cup and make more room. And now you have plenty of capacity to handle the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, and on the flip side of that too, you no longer have the silent expectation, because when we had that 11-day argument, Quincy was waiting for me to do something.
Go ahead. Go.
And we just didn't know. Neither one of us was willing to take the first step. We were both waiting for the other one to do something, but neither one of us was telling the other one that we were expecting them to do something. Like, I'm not going to initiate something until you talk to me because I don't know what's wrong. And we just didn't clarify that with each other. So we went from not only not doing the check-in, we went to expecting the other person to just know what to do and what their role is in the situation, when neither one of us knew what the other person was feeling or thinking or dealing with. So that in turn affected our sex life, which is one of the top 4 things between the two of us that has to be on point. Everything else can be going to crap, but if our intimacy, not just the sex side of it, but intimacy in general, is on point. Perfect example, we talked about it a few weeks ago. Our daughter moved out, went to college. I struggled. That day was hard, not just dropping her off, but we had gotten some news about my parents. There's some medical things going on, and it all just kind of impacted one day of emotion. And the only thing that I could think to ask for, because he kept asking me, what can I do for you? How can I help? And the only thing I thought to ask for was, I just need you and me, and I need us to have our intimate connection, because everything else feels like it's just in the air.
Yeah.
And that's all it took. And it was more emotional. I was crying and different things that I don't normally do. But that's what it took for me to actually release my emotions a little bit, was to have that connection, because it grounds me. It helps me to know when you and I are on point, that everything else can be going haywire. But the moment you and I are not connected, everything going haywire becomes so much bigger. And then I don't know how to pull it back. I don't know how to rein anything in, because it's like my anchor is not in the ground. The wind is pulling it, and that string is the only thing that's there. I need the anchor in, not just the string. So it's a lot of things can happen, because if you go through it, when you stop doing one thing, you stop using one tool, then gradually you start putting them all back in the box. And you don't even realize it until you get to the point of either somebody is really hurt, and now we don't know how to come back from it, or maybe somebody has stepped out, and now we've got an even bigger issue to deal with. Or maybe it's just we've turned into roommates as opposed to married couple. How do we fix that? Like the all the wedges that you can create simply by dropping one tool, because it affects all of them in the long run. You know, we stopped with the check-in. Our intimacy was off because of surgery. Our conversations were more logistic, because at the time we were in I was taking on a little bit more around the house because you were going through recovery, and that switches my gear a little bit because I have to stay on point with logistics more so than heartfelt conversation. Those things all snowballed over the course of, I would say, 3 months. It was that easy to just let everything pile up, and after 3 months, we had 11 days with no sex. We've never done that since the beginning. Since we started with Rita and we started making it intentional to fix our marriage and make it the best we could, we have not had a stint like that on purpose. And that was the first time that in a long time that both of us were like, whoa. And then the reality of it that brought us back was seeing a group of kids at an award ceremony and watching two sets of parents. Every time the kid's name was called, you had a mom coming down this aisle and a dad coming down this aisle. And both of us are looking like, I don't want to be that person. I don't ever want to be at a big moment with our kids or our grandkids and you're on one side of the room and I'm on the other side of the room and we're not together. That's not what we had planned.
I don't think anybody plans that, but I agree with you. And I don't know that you saw it when I saw it because I had to mention it later, like after the event. And you were put off by it at first, but I don't know.
I think it more just hit me because of the way that it hit you. It was like, whoa, are we really that far? Like, does it really feel like we're that far into a problem that's where you see this going? Because we haven't been in that kind of a problem for what, 12 years or more?
Yeah, probably more. And I have a tendency to look down the road a ways just to see, well, here's where we are. And
this is what it can become.
It's what it can become if we continue down this road, because the whole point of this is that it's perishable. Now, do I think we would let it get that far without really having to come to Jesus and in our relationship and saying, okay, let's figure this out? I think our commitment to each other is profound.
Yeah.
I truly do. But I can't imagine anybody that was divorced or separated and went up to see their kid at 2 different times. They didn't set out to be divorced.
Agreed.
And so there is a point at which the momentum and regression starts to pick up steam because resentment will fuel that. And so that's why I looked at it and I was like, this is not good. I felt horrible. And just seeing, because my parents were divorced, and it's like, I know the challenges that it has brought into my life. Now, understandably, that probably had to happen for them. My dad was on a different path. He just was.
Yeah.
And I believe my mother did the right thing. As much as it hurts, she had to do the right thing in the best interest of her and her children. And I respect that. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
That's
not an easy choice to make for anybody either.
No. And if you find yourself there, divorced, we're here to support you any way we can. And if we can't, there are multiple people that we can refer you to that can help you through that, because ultimately that particular relationship, it didn't work out. But our hope is that once you get yourself aligned and you get your feet under you and you start moving forward, maybe you can take another swing at this thing, because, I love my relationship with my wife. And you might be sitting here going, man, this is it seems like a whole lot of work. It seems like too much work. Well, what in life that has any kind of value doesn't take intentionality and work?
Practice.
It's work that is well worth the benefit, well worth the pay. It's well worth the building of a relationship. And here's a couple more areas where, communication, it could lead you. And look, it's hard. I'm going to say this real quick. How do you get there? How did we get there? Because I was working my tail off and we were still suffering financially. Jeannie was working her tail off And it was her against 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids, 7, 8. It was her against the world at home because I was out working. And you can get really self-focused during those times. And you can feel like you're by yourself. You can feel like you're alone. You can feel like I'm doing this by myself and nobody cares. And it couldn't be further from the truth. We didn't know how to communicate effectively, to share what we were struggling with. Had we known, maybe this podcast doesn't exist. So fortunately, we had to learn. Fortunately, we had to learn what it meant to forgive each other, to release our resentments, to be willing to have hard discussions. And all the tools that we've learned, we bring to you. And so Jeannie talked about putting tools back in the box and not using them. What about when you use the wrong tool?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody's used a butter knife. Almost everybody's used a butter knife as a screwdriver. Really bad. Does it work? Yeah, it pretty much works, but bad things can happen if you're using a tool that it's not being what it's not designed to be used for. Now, are there some tools that you can use on a few things, or maybe it's a new discovery? Yes, we're just talking metaphorically here. But we are so dumb sometimes that we just leave the tools behind and we get selfish. We get self-focused. We get so caught up in what we have going on that we don't necessarily consider the other person. And that is a part of being a human being. That's a part of it. So you grow and you change and you develop and you do these things intentionally. And your relationship, the connection in your relationship is so much more rewarding to feel like you could come to your spouse and tell him or her anything. That you've created a place where you guys can talk about even the things that you feel are very embarrassing about yourself or about how you feel. You put it out there and you're not holding it against each other. It's amazing. So you have communication. Communication is such a heavy word. It's got so many things inside of it, but here's what I'll submit to you. Listening, asking questions, utilizing your rules of engagement and hard talks. Those things are all perishable skills. And you have to actively do them. How do you do that? We have 350 something shows, and a lot of them talk about that. And you'll be happy to know that we're on pace to probably put out this year. Of course, we won't be doing it all this year because it won't be 52 weeks left in the year. But we're gonna put these tools together in a very comprehensive way, and then we're gonna put them out to you. And I think you're absolutely gonna love it. But more than love it, you're gonna share it. You're gonna grow from it. It's gonna challenge you, and it's dynamically gonna change your life because it has changed our life. Here's another one that's a perishable skill. Communicating your expectations, because then you fall back into the trap of silent expectations. And those are a killer. You've known me for 20 something years. You should know what I need. You should know what I want. You should know what I'm thinking. No.
I'm not telepathic.
No. And nor would I want you to be.
No.
And then another one too, that's a challenge. That could be a challenge for us, and maybe it is for you, is in deploying consideration and courtesy. Because you can get so caught up in your day-to-day and what's going on with you and feeling overwhelmed that you may not be as courteous or considerate to your spouse.
Simple example. And that was something that used to irritate the fire out of Quincy. And I never even thought about it. We get in a car, we're going on a trip, we're driving. I get in my phone, I start reading a book because I'm not driving. I don't have to pay attention to the road. So I'm just in a book. It irritated him because there's no conversation. I'm ignoring him. I'm ignoring the people in the car. I'm in my own head and I'm not present to what's going on. So now, after several hard talks about it and conversations, when we go someplace and one of us has to get into our phone for any length of time, we make it a point to tell the other person, hold on, I'm not ignoring you. Give me a minute. I need to do this. I'm not trying to be rude to you. I need to address the situation, or what have you. For me, it's usually, like yesterday we had a cover reveal thing, and one of the agreements is we share everybody's stuff and I have to help. So when it was my turn to not drive, I was doing those things. Or when we were sitting at the table, I need 5 minutes, I got to go through this. He does the same thing. I need to take these phone calls, but then he will actively put a timer in his phone to go back to address that phone call so that we have at least a few minutes to talk and we're not completely silent on the road. It's a very small thing, but it has made a huge difference in us getting irritated and the drive being so stuffy and just aggravated the whole way.
Well, the drives were our time to spend time talking and going to the clouds, and quality time is your thing, and you like the drives, and here you are for hours sitting on your phone. I would sit there and steam over it. Let me make a public announcement. If you're the person who sits in the room while everybody's around and you are buried in your telephone and not being present in the moment, I think you suck as a human being. I say that with all love and sincerity because you're not being considerate. You're not being present in the moment. Facebook or X or TikTok, all that crap is always going to be there. Why not be present in the moment? I don't care how old you are. I don't care what the excuse is. Be a better person and learn how to engage in a room full of people again. Well, yeah, I just need to zone out. Cool. Take time to zone out, but take time to be a human being as well and engage the people where you are. Because I cannot tell you how many rooms I go in, how many restaurants I go in, and people are not sitting and talking with one another. They are sitting and stuck in their telephone. And I'm like, if I was a bad guy, no better time to start robbing things than now because nobody's paying attention. It's like, put that crap down. You can be cussing me out right now, and I flat do not care. And I want people to like me because I'm that guy. But I don't care. Get off the phone after this episode is over. Get off the phone and get re-engaged in your life. Please.
But those were things, that's an example of something that I didn't think of as a courtesy. I never did. But then when I realized how much it was irritating him and pissing him off, it was like, okay, we need to set some ground rules. And I know that some people hear that and like, oh my God, you have to set ground rules for everything. As cheesy as it sounds, it's really not that big of a deal to set a ground rule. It's a courtesy. It is something where you are recognizing this bothers the other person. And I'm just going to give myself some ramifications so that I don't purposely piss you off over something that it's not meant to piss you off. It's not that big of a deal for me to set it down for a few minutes.
If it is that big of a deal, then you have a problem.
Well, and that's the thing though. If it's something that can't be ignored, this is where the conversation comes into place.
Of course, I totally get that.
That's what I'm saying. It's a common courtesy. If we're talking about something and a text comes through, like when we go to dinner, we usually set our phones down, we put them face down so we're not looking at them, and we talk. If for some reason, say the kids are out and we have rules for when they drive and whatnot, that they have to text, let me know where they're going, things of that nature. I will leave my phone facing up, and as soon as a text comes in, I will tell him, give me a minute. It's the kids. Let me handle this. And then we can get back. And as soon as that conversation is over, we put the phone down and we go back to what we're doing. It's not that hard. It did take practice because I got so used to getting in my phone when I was sitting in the car. But it was just a natural thing to do. But now it's more, if I'm doing it, I usually say, hey, I want to go look at this. Did you want to talk about something? Or if he wants to listen to a podcast, I'll get into my phone because he wants to listen to a podcast, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to fall asleep. So
True.
It's just little things like that. But now it's no longer a silent expectation. Now I know because we had the conversation.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, please let me know so that it doesn't cause a hurt feeling that doesn't need to be there, or it doesn't cause, because we got to the point where instead of it just being, a joke between us, we were taking digs. And we were taking real digs. And then it became this whole argument on a road trip coming back from Oklahoma. And it wasn't supposed to be. It was like, wow, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I'm sorry. I totally didn't even realize it. But it was too late. I had already hurt somebody. So it was like, okay, well, now I got to eat that because it's my fault. And I get it. Those types of things, or even like in the argument, who's going to make the first move? Who's going to initiate reconnecting after we've had a heated discussion? That's where we both made the agreement. I'll go first. Whichever one of us comes across the thought first, we've agreed we're going to say something. We happened to have the thought at the same time last time, and both of us were sitting there going, okay, how do I approach this? Thankfully, Quincy said something, because I was over in the chair thinking, okay, how am I going to do this without sounding like, I just want something out of you, but I don't know, like, how do I do that? Here's the great thing about being married and it being your person. I could say something and sound like a jackass, and it's okay, because Quincy's probably going to chuckle with me and go, okay, I'm glad you said something, because I was over here thinking the same. How do we approach this?
Yeah.
And if you do say something and you get a giggle out of it, you get a giggle out of it. If you say something and you get a kind of a backlash response, now so we need to decide, how do we approach this then so that this doesn't happen?
Yeah.
But if you don't give yourself the freedom to do that, if you don't give yourself the space to screw up, to do something stupid or silly, or to say something that might come out wrong, there's the other tool. I'm going to say this and it's going to sound ugly. I don't know how else to say it. Bear with me. Okay. That just diffuses everything for him to take it personal, because I just told you I don't know how else to say this. So I'm not trying to take a dig at you. I'm not trying to say something that could be hurtful. I just genuinely don't know how to say this.
Yeah.
That diffuses a lot of hurt feelings. It diffuses a lot of argument, for the simple fact that once it's out in the open, majority of the time, both of us come back and go, yeah, I don't really know how to say that either. Like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm not trying to point something out that could be hurtful. I know it's bothering me, and I need to say something about it. So can you help me? And we go back and forth. Okay. I said this, and if my face does that thing that it does, Quincy immediately goes, hold on, stop everything. What did you hear? Stop everything. And what did you hear? Those two, again, these are all tools that we know. But like I said before, when life is happening, and it is happening on a pretty consistent basis, like right now with everything we have going on, I don't think that I would be as emotionally stable or functional in my daily life if we were not doing the check-ins the way we've been doing them, as consistently as we've been doing them, because I'm in a growing season, and I'm also in a transition season, which so is Quincy. It's similar things because we share the kids, but it's different things because our roles are shifting. And so trying to deal with that, and then dealing with our parents are getting older and things are changing on that end. Now we have to face their mortality. It's not always easy to shuffle and just be able to be in the moment. I suck at it sometimes. When my emotions get too high, I am not present to anything. I go into survival mode and I just go. But having the check-ins and having the tools that we have, where he has permission to, hey, something's not right with you. What's going on? It's helped a lot. It has prevented a lot of, I've not gone for the jugular on anybody intentionally, which is really good, because that's my go-to when I'm in survival mode, is just to deflect and push things away. I haven't done any of that. I haven't completely shut down. I haven't gone into a depression spiral. This is what it means to keep your tools on point. This is what it does. This is what it helps me with. It helps me to process through things that nobody else around me really gets, because you're in it with me. No matter whether I feel like I'm going through it by myself or not, you are in it with me.
That's right.
And that makes a huge difference, just knowing you're not by yourself dealing with it. He's going through different things in his life, trying to determine what he wants to do next, where he wants to go next, putting himself in a different position with the kids, because we flipped roles for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the kids are now coming to me for things more so than coming to dad. Now, when it's big stuff like the car or budget or, trying to plan logistic things, that's a dad thing. Everybody goes to dad because that's dad's strength. It is not mine.
Well, I did a significant amount of investing in them and preparing them for where they are. And I'm the one who led the family talks. I'm the one who led the values. I'm not saying you're not a leader, but naturally those things are in my wheelhouse, and the talking, the speaking, and the teaching, and you complement that for me. But now with where they are, they're out there living it.
They're learning to become grown women. They are learning to become emotionally invested in others. They are learning to become nurturers. It's not that Quincy doesn't have those things outside of being a woman, but it's different coming from mom than it is coming from dad, because dad sees it from the receptive side of what you get from me and what I do for you, versus they're trying to figure out how to become the way I am and how I do things. And then they're going to adapt that to their personality and what they're doing. It's just a different perspective. For the longest time, we had the conversation last night. Our youngest is like, if I didn't have you showing me things and doing things and paving the way for me, I don't know that I would get here. And I had to tell her, I'm no longer walking in front of you. I'm not paving the way anymore. My time of clearing a path and showing you the direction to go has changed. I'm now walking beside you and you're choosing the path.
Mm-hmm.
And now my job is to come alongside you. And when you need me, I'm here. But I am not going to decide the path or make the path for you. I'm just going to come alongside you and help you take that path, whatever that role looks like. But for mom, that part of me, that is a lot of control being laid down. For 17 years of her life, I have been on top of what are your grades, what are you doing, where are we going, what are the different projects, the different ROTC, all those things. That was my role. I kept that crap straight. Now it's your turn to keep that crap straight, and just the ones that you want me there for or that you need my presence for, those are the ones that I'll be there for.
Yeah.
But I'm no longer the responsible party of all of the decisions and where we can and can't go and those things. And it's new for them. It's new for me. It's really hard.
Well, and that's why that is one of the reasons I'm thankful that several months before this transition took place.
We kick the check-ins back in.
No, that's not what I was going to say. Good try though. Although I'm appreciative of the check-ins.
Yeah.
The awareness that my role in their life in this present season was changing, because and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that the Lord showed me and helped me through it, because it rocked my world, and I wouldn't want to be going through it now, because then that has the potential to cause resentment between you and I, because I could get jealous over the time. But going through the preparation several months in advance, the Lord helped to show me how it's like, look, you've done the front side of the work. You have done the work to build this. And now, while you're not irrelevant in their life, they're going through a different phase of life on their own. So your relevancy changes. You're no longer daddy who they look up to. I'm not saying they don't look up to me, but now you are dad, because they are going out to find and to make their way. Now, there are certain things where they will come back, and so now I'm not taking it personal at all. which my personality type is to take it personal. So I'm not taking it personal at all, because the Lord prepared me for this to say, life is about seasons. So there will be times where it circles back around. They'll be older. Maybe they'll have kids, but you'll be daddy again. And it'll be a different feel. And so I went through, like, I had to sit the entire family down and say, look, my attitude lately has sucked. And here is why. I was completely transparent with them. And I said, I see what this is becoming. And everybody around the table was emotional, myself included. And I said, it's okay. It's good, because this is what we've been working so hard to prepare you for.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is that they are coming to you, because you're vital in this era of their life. And it's very important. It's the beauty of having a mother and a father, because they actively play different roles in your life.
Well, and there's different sides to everything that they're dealing with now. It's like they're coming to me because we want to, one is, how do I approach this? I'm looking at my future at being this person's wife. How do I approach this? What is my role? And the part that I think benefits our kids, especially because we do the podcast and they listen to it and they talk about it, but you came from a different upbringing than I did.
Mhm.
We both had very different examples of what a marriage was. Neither one of those examples was what we wanted to make our marriage. And it's not saying it was right, wrong, or indifferent. It was just things that we grew up with. We realized that doesn't work for us.
Yes.
This does not feel like what we agreed to. So we changed how we do things, and we made a different example for our children. Now they know their grandparents' stories. They know everything that's gone on there to a certain degree, but they didn't live that life we did. So they are getting our version of what a marriage should look like,
Mm-hmm.
and what a healthy marriage looks like. And when they're dating people, we've had guys that the girls have tried to date and they have split families. We have guys that have just one parent. We have guys that have, a strong marriage in their family, and some that we just don't know. And so for them to come in now, it's like, okay, how do I determine, looking at this example and your example, how do I determine what works for me? This is the part where you and I come in, and it's like, okay, this is what Dad and I had to do. And these are the things that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make these decisions for yourself. What do you two talk about? Have your hard talk. I see this, and I'm not sure that this is the example I want in my marriage. I can use, we've had one that said, their parents are not really affectionate in public. They don't have PDA. And for this person, it's like, I want PDA. I want the
Mhm.
affection. It's something that they value. And I made the comment, and I said, that means it's one of their 5. It's one of their top 5. Physical touch is one of the top 5. So that's something for you to know. If it's not okay for you, you need to determine that now. And then you need to come up with what works and what doesn't. I'm not saying you have to be 100% on top of each other in public, but you need to determine what's acceptable to you, because it's important to your partner. On the flip side, the other one, my parents talk about everything, like literally everything. I don't know that I'm ready to talk about everything yet. Okay, again, ground rules. If you don't want to talk about something, you need to have something between the two of you that says, I appreciate you wanting to discuss this with me. And I promise when I get to the point that I feel that I can, we will. But for now, this is what I need. We're teaching them the toolbox that we have before they walk down an aisle and put a ring on their finger and make a commitment and go in it blind like the rest of us have. We had an idea of what we wanted. We didn't have the example.
Well, we also had pre-marriage classes, and we still didn't get it. And for whatever reason, you're young, and as much as you think you want to learn, you have a set idea of what's in your head, and you're going to follow that. And when life happens, you have choices to make. This conversation got way off the rails, even though it's great conversation.
You said open discussion.
I kind of
Whenever we
did,
do
but
open discussion, it goes a lot longer than it's intended.
well, we're going to have an open discussion about how to help you get back. And so at an hour and 10 minutes in, here's how you get back. I'm going to give you one simple solution. A little while ago, if you're watching the program, you would have seen Jeannie talking and go, she gave me that look like this. What's that? Well, I went to the website while she was talking to confirm what episode I want to suggest you watch and listen to. And the reason I did that is because it's episode 345. It's called Solving Communication. And I believe that is the check-in episode. And I was trying to hear myself, but I couldn't get through the monologue fast enough because I needed to re-engage. But I'm gonna put it in the show notes. And in full and true transparency, it's just that easy. That's how you do it. You start the check-in, because the check-in that we're doing now, and look, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Take what is good for you. We're telling you, you heard the testimony from Jeannie earlier, that she would not be as emotionally stable or healthy if we hadn't started this.
Mhm.
That's to me,
I would be eating my emotions big time.
That's the true line as far as credibility goes, because listening to this program, I'm very honest. Jeannie's very honest, and we're going to say it like it is. And for her to say that is a very big deal. As a buddy of mine that recently passed away, I say it's a big deal. Everybody's talking about it. It's a big deal. This is a big deal. So, solving communication, I believe, is the proper episode. After this recording is done, I'm going to go check and make sure, and I will put it in the show notes. But listen, I'm putting this out in the ethos. As I finish up this podcast, a good friend of mine, Jacob, that I met in the RIT Syndicate. What an awesome human being he is. I really appreciate him and his willingness to be a part of my life. And he talked about, wanting to 10x whatever he's doing. The goal is not to double something. The goal is to multiply something by 10. And I was like, I love that. I love that thought process. And so I started to do that with this podcast. And I am preparing. And as I got my head, like my mind, into that headspace, automatically I was kind of I was downloaded with the concept of putting a tool for every week for you to read, to watch, to learn from, and then to write about. So I'm just putting it out there in the ethos and I'm putting it out there to you guys, and you can ask me about it. And I don't know when it's coming out. I want to commit to having it out by the end of this year for the beginning of 2026. And it will be 52 tools for marriage to help you. And it sounds like a lot, but trust me, as you read through this book, it's going to be very comprehensive. I think it's going to be workbook style, and it's going to be, one is going to build on another. So it's going to prepare you. Jeannie's getting ready to say something too, but start here. Start at the check-in. Listen to episode 345. Listen to Solving Communication. It's going to change your life. It will change your life. Honey, go ahead and say something. Finish it off.
I was going to say, with the 52 tools, they're not just going to be our 52 tools. We are going to bring in some of the others that we have worked with on the podcast and have them give their input. Dan Purcell with, what is something that will impact your intimate life or help open that conversation. We'll go further into it as we go along, but it's not just going to be, the redundant thing. We are going to make it something that you can use, you can adapt, and you have resources for as we go forward, so that we can kind of give you a full round marriage, if you would, if that makes sense.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that statement in full, but
I don't know how to word it properly. But I know it was something that we had discussed, was using some of the things that helped us from others that we had pulled together.
Well, it's going to be very comprehensive, and I'm laying it out now. I think I have 40 of the 50 tools outlined. This version might just be our tools, and then the next version may have like Dr. John DeBach, Dan Purcell from Get Your Marriage On. I will invite them. I don't know, this one or the next one, to be a part of that, because I want to be training. I want to be actively training you. And the cool thing is that you can go through this, and the next year you can go back to it, and you can start, or if you want to reflect every quarter, or if you want to reflect after 6 months, it's going to help develop you as a whole person. You're not going to have to stand there or sit there in a conversation with your wife and go, was that a flathead screwdriver? Is that the tool? Was it a Phillips head? Was it a screw gun? I don't know. No, because it's going to help you. This is going to help develop you like it has helped me, like it's helped Jeannie. And we're taking, our 15 plus years of our journey and what we've learned with our successes and our fails, because we talk about them both, and we're bringing them to this book. I got to figure out what the name of it's going to be, but I'm going to put some of my writing skills. I'm going to put them to the test, which it's going to be very short format, much shorter than my talking, which you will appreciate. But other than that, that's all. That's all for this. Perishable skills. Don't forget that. Don't forget the concept. And don't forget that I need your help. You, the listener, those of you that have downloaded and listened to the program, I need your help growing the YouTube platform. If you watch Rumble, I'm not releasing on Rumble yet. I believe I'm going to release these on X as well. That's a pretty neat community as well. So that's where we are. Remember the email address, which the email address is easy. It's Quincy, Quincy at mvsmpodcast.com. I hope you all can tell that this chair I have is inferior and very poorly made, because over the course of the show, I sink further and further towards the ground. And now it looks like I need a high chair, which is always great. But you can
we
more
need
prominently
to get some of those gaming chairs that have all the support stuff in them.
Well, you can now prominently see the Alabama A. So roll tide. And I very much appreciate you listening to this episode. Give us your feedback. How can we help you? And for me, that's all. Honey, anything else?
No, I think we're all good.
All right. For Jeannie Moran, I am Quincy Moran, a.k.a. the Q Dog, a.k.a. the Q.
I will not call you that.
Call me what?
I will not call you that.
Call me what?
That.
The Q that.
I will not. Maybe we can get your friend who you talk to from the podcast to call and record it for you so you can use it whenever you want, since he loves to say Q Dog all the time for you.
That's a different one. Q Dog.
That one I love. That's who you are. The other one is
telling me you're saying that the Q diggity dog.
Blech.
What's wrong with that?
I just don't like it.
Whatever. The start of this episode.
That's your radio thing. That's not your wife thing.
That's not true. I made that up on this podcast, not on the radio. The radio was the Q Dog.
What did the podcast start as?
The podcast started as a podcast.
It's radio. Anyway, go ahead.
That is not radio. You uneducated swine. For Jeannie Moran, I'm Quincy Moran, a.k.a. the Q Diggity MF and Dog. What up?
Ha!
And this is Man vs. Marriage. Le Podcast.